Hello, this is Jerry Smith. The Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison has told Facebook that his government will not be intimidated after the company blocked news feeds to Australian users. He accused Facebook of unfriending Australia. Shaima Khalil reports.
Facebook's change did not just target news. It also denied Australians access to the pages of many key government agencies, including police and emergency services, health departments, and the Bureau of Meteorology. The ban prompted an immediate backlash, with many users angered by their sudden loss of access to trusted sources of information. The Prime Minister Scott Morrison described Facebook's action as arrogant and disappointing, adding that the government would not be intimidated. Facebook's ban is in response to a proposed law in Australia, which would make tech giants pay for news content.
Life expectancy in the United States fell by a whole year during the first half of 2020, its greatest fall since World War II. Provisional government data showed that minorities had suffered most, with black Americans losing nearly 3 years and Hispanics 2 years of life expectancy at birth. Experts say the figures reflected the first wave of deaths from the coronavirus pandemic. The authorities in Texas are facing increasing criticism over the way the state's electricity is supplied following 3 days of blackouts in the face of unseasonably low temperatures. Peter Bowes reports.
Frigid conditions that are still getting worse. The historically cold weather is lingering in Texas and other southern states. Millions of households have been without electricity and heating since Monday. There's growing criticism of officials responsible for the Texas power grid, which failed when it couldn't cope with the extra demand. Some people are burning whatever they can to stay warm. The governor of Texas has called for an investigation into the body that's responsible for most of the state's power. He says the Arctic weather isn't over yet.
US diplomats representing the new Biden administration are meeting their European counterparts from Britain, France and Germany today to discuss how to revive the 2015 international nuclear deal with Iran. The Iranians have been in breach of the deal since former President Trump abandoned it. Here's Frank Gardner.
Time is fast running out to save what's left of the Iran nuclear deal. It aimed to curb Iran's nuclear activities in return for a lifting of international sanctions. But 3 years ago, President Trump pulled the US out of the deal, unilaterally violating its side of the bargain. President Biden has vowed to rejoin the deal, but it may already be too late. The Iranian government has been incrementally breaching its conditions, including producing banned uranium metal, one of the precursors to a nuclear bomb. Hopes are not high for today's meeting to salvage the accord.
BBC News. The president of Eritrea, Isaias Afwerki, has broken his silence over the fighting in the neighbouring Ethiopian region of Tigray, where the local TPLF forces rebelled in November against the federal government. Speaking on state media, he said it was utter madness for the Tigray People's Liberation Front to have seized the northern command loyal to Addis Ababa. President Isaias said Eritrea was trying its level best to contribute to the situation in Tigray. Hundreds of farmers in India have sat down on train tracks at railway stations in their latest nationwide protest against government plans to reform agriculture. The peaceful 4-hour demonstration is causing some disruption to trains, particularly in northern India. Tens of thousands of farmers have taken part in demonstrations since November. The Indian government insists it won't back down. Georgia's Prime Minister Giorgi Gakharia has resigned over a court order to detain an opposition politician. Rayhan Dimitri has the details.
In a statement, Giorgi Gakharia said his decision to resign was intended to reduce further political polarization in Georgia. He said he had not been able to reach agreement with his cabinet over the planned arrest of a senior opposition figure, Nika Melia. Mr. Melia chairs Georgia's largest opposition party, the United National Movement. Nika Melia is charged with attempting to storm parliament in June 2019 during anti-government protests. The latest developments have deepened Georgia's ongoing political crisis. Opposition parties have accused the governing Georgian Dream of allowing the country to backslide on democracy.
Malaysian police say they've arrested and questioned the founder of a dating app connecting richer older men with younger women. Officials said it's being investigated on suspicion of exploitation.